stash inside his Wilmington, Delaware garage near his prized classic Corvette.
By the way, my Corvette's in a locked garage, okay? So it's not like you're sitting out in the street.
So
but anyway,
it was in a locked garage.
yes, as well as my Corvette. But as I said earlier this week, people know I take classified documents and classified material seriously. I also said we're cooperating fully and completely with the Justice Department's review.
Joe Concha joins us now with his take. Joe, the New York Post is covering this story on their cover by showing Biden pulling out of the garage with a cardboard box sitting out in the corner. And it asked, does this look secure to you?
Anybody vet this guy, God, the Post headline writer is just underpaid completely.
Absolutely.
Why don't we do this? Carly, you take your wedding ring, or Todd, take the kids' college fund.
Nope.
And take it out. Just follow these instructions, okay? And you tell me how you feel. And then put it in the garage next to your car. Probably not a Corvette. You look like more of a Ford Fiesta kind of guy. Right. You're probably more of an Acura, the Me Too car. You know, like, oh, you have an Acura, Me Too. And then put it in there and then lock the garage. And you tell me if you think it's totally safe. And that's what the president was implying. Since I have a Corvette and the garage was locked in a residential neighborhood, therefore it was safe. That is going to be a campaign ad for many months to come. But two major points here, okay? In a sane world, Donald Trump cannot be indicted now, because if you indict Trump, then you have to indict Biden. And the difference is Trump's ability to classify documents as president. Biden had no business as vice president. He had no ability to declassify those documents. He couldn't take them out. And it's like Costco. I'm not saying what Trump did was completely and totally right either. When you leave Costco, you show a receipt of all the items you have. Why can't we do that with the White House? Because Hillary Clinton, right, with the State Department, and now Trump, and then Biden. Before that, Obama, Bush. Enough of this taking documents with you when you leave. I don't think so. And number two, by the way, nothing happens in Washington, or in this case in Wilmington, by accident. Why now? Why is this all coming out now from the president's own lawyers? And why wasn't this told to us, by the way, before the midterm elections when they found the first batch on November 2nd? More questions than answers.
Yeah, to your point, Joe, I think this timeline makes Merrick Garland look real bad, even though he called the Biden docs. Yeah. Keep in mind, December 20th, once you found that second batch at Joe Biden's home, why did we just find out about that second batch this week? That's bad. Yeah. Before we let you go, I want to get your thoughts on this, because despite all the logic that we just put forward, Democrats and some in the media, we're talking about The View, of course, think Joe Biden's document disaster is a conspiracy. Watch.
I'm suspicious of the timing of it. I'm also aware of the fact that things can be planted on people.
I've never seen a luckier person than Donald Trump. Just as we're this close to getting him, but somehow these documents appear.
In my house, if stuff is missing, I know it's missing. Does it feel like Oppo research to you? Does it feel like the Republicans are behind it?
So just to review, despite the president admitting that he or his people actually put the documents there, this is the reaction you get. Your ABC News program, I want to point out, The View is in the news division, creating a lie and then broadcasting it throughout the country. Shouldn't there be consequences for that?
Here's the thing about The View. People say, why do you talk about them? A, as you said, it's an ABC News program. B, it's #1 in its time slot. C, they average about 2.5 million viewers per show. It does have some influence. Presidential candidates go on there, yet they spew these conspiracy theories. And I expect that from The View at this point. I wouldn't expect that from Hank Johnson, who we just showed, who's a Democratic congressman, saying that Republicans must have planted these in 2 separate locations. This is 31 flavors of stupid, Carl.
Yeah, well, the consequence, I guess, is they're allowed to say it, freedom of speech, and then other people who disagree are allowed to criticize them for saying it.
Like us.
Karine Jean-Pierre has in the rare position this week of actually having to answer serious questions from a lot of different news organizations about this very topic. Why do you think that is?
So I was on with Martha McCallum yesterday with Geraldo, and we were watching that press conference live. And I stopped counting after the 20th. There is a process. She kept saying that over and over again. She cannot comment. The president takes this seriously.
She doesn't want to get ahead of.
She couldn't get ahead of, exactly. We witnessed the worst day of someone's life yesterday, and that was Karine Jean-Pierre. Because for once, because she was bombarded by questions outside of Peter Doocy and Jackie Heinrich, and she simply could not answer them because it's basically about defending the indefensible here. Yeah. Keeping documents next to your Corvette in Wilmington, Delaware, I'm sorry, no press secretary could have done well.
And made even more indefensible when your boss is up there pretending to read from a prepared legal statement, which he should have stuck to, and instead going off the cuff and making admission against interest after another. It was tough to watch for Joe Biden's lawyers. Pray for them today.
Absolutely.
Before we go, again, the question around why. Most Americans don't want a mid-80s Joe Biden as president. A majority of Democrats don't want him as running for re-election either. So you have to wonder who's putting this out there, and is it to convince him not to run again?
It's a good point. I also love the analogy you made about the wedding ring and the college fund, because we're talking about documents that rose to the level of here. So
this is true, and that's quite a wedding ring, by the way. My wife's like, why don't I?
Oh, why?
Does it look like that?
Thank you, Joe.
Steve Ducey.